Guys, welcome back to this tutorial. Hello guys, welcome back to this tutorial. In this tutorial, we are going to go ahead and talk about custom exceptions and how you can create your own custom exceptions. Now, what is the purpose of creating a custom exceptions? So the main purpose is if you want to go ahead and add more information that you need to convey to the customer instead of just a simple error message. So let's say if you wanted to go ahead and display more information related to an error rather than just a simple error message, in that case, you can create your own custom exception where you can add your own message. Then how do you create a custom exception? So in order to create a custom exception, you need to extend from the exception class. And the second thing is your custom exception should always end with the word exception. So as you can see here, like this example, public class account exception extends exception. Now the bracket. Now you can see here the account exception is the name of the custom exception. So it ends with the word exception. That is the first requirement. It should end with the word exception. And then the second requirement is it should always extend from the exception class. So these are the two requirements in order to create your own custom exception. So now we are going to go ahead and do a simple example in which we are going to create our own custom exception, and we will also see how to throw a custom exception and how to handle a custom exception. So going back to our developer console, go back to the developer console. Let's first get rid of this. We will create a new Apex class. And this is going to be a custom exception. So, okay, so let's say I call it as account exception. So this is the name of the class. Click OK. As soon as I ended the word with the exception, it automatically understood that, hey, I am creating a custom exception. So by default, it extends from the exception class, and it can see here it ends with the word exception. Now that's all I need to do. So since I have extended from this exception class, all the common methods which are available now are available inside of this class because I am inheriting from this exception class. That's a very important point. So all the methods that are related to the exception that we talked earlier, like line number or get cause or get message, all these methods are now available inside of this exception class. How we are going to throw a custom exception? So let's go ahead and create a new Apex class, and I am going to call this as account utility. Now inside of this account utility, let's say I am creating a method, and we will call this method as public static void and the name of the method is main processing. So, and inside of this method, all I am doing is I am calling the insert account method. Insert account, the method I am going to declare now. That's all I am doing here. Inside of this, I am just calling this another method called insert account. Now what I need to do here is I need to define my insert account method. So I'm going to say public static void insert account. This is the method that I'm going to declare now. And what this method is supposed to do, as you can see here, the name of the method is insert account. It is going to basically create a new account. Account A is equals to new of account. And then just I'm going to say insert account. Now, do you see any problem with this method? Yes, the problem here is I'm trying to create a account record and I'm trying to insert account record, but I'm not providing the value of the required field which I need in order to create an account record, which is name. So I'm missing the name field here. I'm trying to insert an invalid record. Now, what will happen here? This particular code is going to throw an exception. Now, if you remember what kind of exception that will be, it is going to be a DML exception. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and trying to handle this exception using a try catch block. So I'm putting this code inside of a try block. Inside of a try block. And then I am going to create a catch block to handle my DML exception. So here I am going to say DML exception and then DE, and then I'm going to handle this inside of this catch block. Now, since we are talking about custom exceptions, and I told you that one of the reason is in order to display more information rather than just a simple error message. So here what I can say is I can throw my custom exception. Throw new. What is the name of the exception? ACCT exception. This is the name of the exception. And if you want to display the message, you can display here. Account cannot be created because the required field name is missing. Name is missing. So this is the simple language, but it tells you what is wrong with the statement. So instead of just displaying a generic message saying, hey, required field missing, then name, you are actually saying that in a layers term that, hey, that account cannot be created because it is the required field name is missing, right? And then you are passing on this DE. So you are throwing this exception. Now whose responsibility is to catch it? Now the one who is calling this method. So who is calling this insert account method? The main processing is calling the insert account method. So this is the responsibility of this main processing to handle it. So what we are going to do here is we are going to put the try block And then we are going to handle this exception here using the catch. Now what kind of exception it is throwing? It is throwing a ACC account exception. So I am going to handle this exception here. ACCT exception AE. And then inside of this catch block, I can handle it. Now I have access to all the methods that I had earlier. So let me go ahead and try to save everything. So far I'm doing everything right. So here I am going to say, okay, let's save this. Yeah. Now here I'm going to say system.debug message plus ae dot of get message. So even though a is basically a count exception, but since we are extending from the exception class, we have access to all of the exception method. Similarly, the second exception method is the cause. Let's watch the cause is the issue. System.debug cause. Cause of the DML exception at is at the line number this, because AE dot of get cause. So we are calling this method here, and then we have system dot of debug, and then what I'm saying here is line number. So what is the line number? Plus AE dot of get line number. So this is going to tells me the line number. So this is how you create an exception. All you have to do is, okay, let's see the problem. Line number 10. Yeah. Let's save this. All you have to do is the extends from the exception class. And then in order to throw this exception, you are going to use this throw keyword and then create an instance using this new account exception and whatever the message you want to pass. So here I am saying account cannot be created because the required field name is missing, and then you are passing on this DE, which is nothing but the variable here of DML exception. Now since you are throwing this exception, this particular method is responsible to handle it because you are calling this insert account through this main processing. So here we are displaying all the information related to our exception. So now if I go ahead and in order to call this method, what I am going to see, I am going to say account utility dot main processing. Because it's a static method and I do not need to create the instance of this object, I can directly call it. So here I'm going to say execute. Go to debug only. And it says message account cannot be created because the required field is missing. Now why? Because this exact message got displayed. Which message? This particular message got displayed here. Now what is the cause? The reason is because of the DML exception. Because this exception occurred, the DML exception occurred, and then in the catch block we specify to throw new exception. But main reason was this exception, the DML exception. So that's why it says the cause is the DML exception. And the reason for the DML exception is because the required field is missing. Then what was the line number that caused the error? Not this one. This is the cause for the DML exception. I am talking about my AE exception. So the line number was 22. This is the reason that the exception was thrown, the account exception. So this is how you create a custom exception. This is how you throw an exception. And this is a simple example to display your custom exception. Usually in your day-to-day work, you can do most of the things with the built-in exceptions that you have. You can handle those exceptions. This is just a little bit icing on the cake, so give you a glimpse of how to create your own exceptions. I hope you liked it. And this is all about the exception. Let's meet in the next tutorial. Till then, have a good day. Bye.